So music has a lot to do with time, and it's the only art that in the original could be presented in the moment. It could not happen at any other time. So if you would miss the moment, you would miss the music. Yeah. And this is why it is so high. And it is one of the divine manifestations that unites us in what we call the self. Yeah. And everything that has been sacred in the beginning of time is now somehow turned on its head. Yeah, it becomes banal, it becomes available everywhere, it is non-stop. We can say what becomes banal, it becomes a kind of bad. So music turns into noise, you know? And other things like, for example, sexuality, yeah, turn into a lower frequency, and it goes into the animalic side, yeah. And so music brings us in contact what we call the self. Now, the self, to understand the self, yeah, it is very important to understand the beginning of the self, and this is actually a self that we create unconsciously by our own. Yeah, what we call our personality is a kind of concept, kind of construct that we do it ourselves, right? And it is also very much coming from the outside, by our social conditioning, by our environment. And there is a saying in the tradition that the environmental will is stronger than your personal will. Yeah. So for us, it's very important what other people think about us, for example. Yeah. And how other people speak about us. No. Very important for us, right? Why it is not so important what we speak about them in that lower self. Yeah. We can say anything, we have this freedom, right? But we don't want to hear any kind of what we say actually back. Yeah. So when we say, oh, this is a very arrogant person, we don't want to hear that back. No, isn't it? Yeah. We want to be excluded from our own judgments. No. So the self has also, this lower self has also stations. And one of the stations, for example, is the role self. That means that you become aware about your different roles that you are taking when you, for example, meet your parents. You are not the same than when you meet your friends, right? Or you are going to work and you come in contact with your boss. Yeah. You're not the same than when you are without the boss, no? So this self adapts itself permanently. Yeah, it is not a continuous self. It is not a self that you actually can understand. Yeah, it is like a fish in our hands. We never know who it really is. It's a mystery to us, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah. So you can live with yourself 50, 60, 70, 80 years. You have still no clue who you are. Yeah. Because this self is not there to be known. Yeah. It is not that self when Rumi says, or when the Prophet ﷺ says Knowing yourself means to know your Lord. It doesn't mean knowing your ego. Yeah. Every psychologist has a very good clue about ego, right? That doesn't mean that they know the divine. No? And also you have a very good understanding about your psychological patterns, about something that you understand. And you have an awareness, let's say, about many things. And yet you don't know who you are. Yeah? You don't know what you are here for in this life, for example. Isn't it or not? Yeah. And so this is not the self that is to be known, because that will not bring you in contact with the divine, right? This knowledge does not bring you. Otherwise, you would come step by step by step closer to the divine and the feeling of the divine. No? Well, then Rumi extended it and said, the one who knows his devil, yeah, knows the divine, and that's much closer. Yeah. So we can say the devil represents everything what you are not. Yeah. Okay. So when you ask yourself what I'm not, yeah, you come closer to who you are. Yeah. But before that, you have to go in a kind of awakening process. So the first awakening is actually not an awakening, but it is just a reaction. This is that you realize yourself as an individual entity that is separated from everyone and everything. No? And because of that, you are living in a survival mode, yeah, basically, and worrying about yourself, being in fear about yourself, being in confusion about yourself. This is the separated self. This is just the beginning. Yeah, that there is not a station in between there in it. Yeah. The next one is what we call Fanafich one. Yeah. You understand that the other one is your brother, is your sister. Yeah. And you see yourself as a brother, as a sister. Yeah. Maybe in more modern times you would say friends. Yeah. You look friendly to the other. Okay. Then there comes a state where you understand that you are similar. Yeah. Okay. That is when you realize that your emotions are very, very similar like everyone else's emotions. Yeah. They are very similar. No? Then on the next stage, you become aware that you are somehow the same. Yeah. That is the station of the star, we call it, the station of the star. Every star from far looks the same, is it or not? Yeah. There might be variations in colors, but that has to do also with the angle you look at it, or the clouds, or different atmospheric conditions. But basically they all appear to us somehow of the same size, yeah, with the big exceptions of the moon, no? And of course the sun, yeah. But all the other stars are having this kind of little point existence, right? And for this reason it is difficult for us to distinguish them, usually. Yeah, so we have to look in apps, yeah, holding the camera, and then the camera tells us this is Jupiter, or this is Venus, or it's whatever that is. No? Yeah. So then you come into the fatherly and the motherly mode. Yeah. You feel fatherly and motherly towards others. Yeah. There's already a higher thing, and that brings you into the group self. Yeah. You understand that you are a part of a group self. with which you live all your life, all the people you meet, which can never be the humanity, which can never be everybody, that is, if you have more than just a second of a meeting, that is your self. Yeah, that's the group with which you are born with. Okay. Yes. Yeah. And in this group, you have various relationships, and that they are a result of many relationships that we had before. Yeah. And most of those relationships are more or less conflictive. Yeah. We can say actually that almost there is not a relationship which is free from conflict. Okay. So then when you are in this group self, when you're aware about the group self, yeah, you become clear that you want to purify the relationships, because you see that all everywhere there is a kind of trouble here. Yeah, more or less. With some, usually with the ones we are most intimate, and then all the shades of trouble, yeah, to the ones that we are almost neutral with. No. So then you will start the path of purification, which brings you in contact with the angelic self. Yeah. Our angelic self is not easy to understand, because most of you think that the angel presences are outside of ourself. Yeah. But in fact, they are inside in ourself. Yeah. As the divine itself, it is said in the Book of Love, it is taking place within us. And we can say that, of course, as he takes place within us, his entire cosmos takes place within us. And one of it is the angelic kingdom, which is called Malakut. Yeah. It's the angelic kingdom, and it is not possible, for example, to come to it and to speak when we would raise up and to come there to speak with them. We cannot talk to them because they are not able to talk with us in that area where they are at home. So when someone speaks with angels, it is always like this, that the angels come to that person. Yeah. Not that the person reaches up where they are at home. Yeah. Okay. Because they are not as us in a human shape. Yeah. Also, they are of great beauty, unbelievable great beauty. But it is not easy to be there, because this is the world of purity. Yeah. So usually coming there means rather to stay under pressure than a very beneficial or very happy meeting. No? And what is actually called the self is not a higher octave of your ego self. The higher self is simply a self. Yeah. It is the self where all the humanity is from. Yeah. Past, present, and future. This is what is called the higher self. And in this self, we are one. Yeah? And in a way, this is the closest you can come somehow to experience each other. Yeah? So the in this self, for example, yeah, when we hear music, we are close to that self. Yeah. So everything which says, I am this, I am that, I'm the father of, I'm the mother of, I'm the wife of, husband of, this is not yourself. Yeah, this is an illusory, an illusional self. Yeah, the higher self, your real self, has nothing to do with us as an individual self. Yeah. And we will return to that self when we pass away from here. Yeah. Or for the few souls that can manage to awaken to that self, that is where you find stability and where you find rest, because it has nothing to do with your story, you see. And for this reason, when you come here again, you forget, of course, everything, because you can't bring that self with you. Yeah. This is a self that stays and observes everything. Yeah. Okay. So most of us, they're coming from the fourth dimension. That is one of the reasons why Gurdjieff called his path the fourth way. Yeah. Which means it is the way that brings you in connection with the fourth dimension. Yeah. In the fourth dimension, we do not have any kind of troubled relationships. Yeah. If there is something that troubles us before we pass away, in the process of passing away, that means this is how we make sure that we have to come again. Yeah. So there is this wish, this collective wish for peace, right? When you ask somebody what you want, many people say, I want peace. I want peace on earth. And of course, this is our collective memory, because we are coming originally from a very, very peaceful dimension, a very, very peaceful world. But as we are forgetful about it and we can't remember who we are, we have to come back in this third dimension, and this is the dimension of trouble and war and disharmony and injustice and all kinds of things that we really don't like. Yeah. Yes. And so thinking, and this is very important for you to understand, that many spiritual seekers, many spiritual people think there is a higher version of my ego self. Yes. There is a kind of saint that you think a saint is just a purified version of his lower self. No, a saint is somebody that is in the self, yeah, and has nothing to do with himself anymore. Yeah. Yeah, there is not a person that identifies with the story he had come from, with the story of his youth, and mostly they never tell anything from their youth. They also don't speak much about their parents or about their wives or whatever. Yeah, I have hardly listening my sheikh mentioning his wife in any sohbet, you know. Yeah. Also, he was a very loving husband. Yes. But sohbet, yeah, has only one target. Yeah, first of all, it's an interesting word because it means we are together. Sohbet means simply we are together. Yeah. All right. So why it is so beneficial to be together? Because it is the situation where we come from originally. Yeah. All right. And where we are going to return. Yeah. And all that thing that troubled us, you will see in the other side that it is just taken away, as if you had been an actor in a movie. And when the movie is shot, when the movie is finished, Yeah, you drop your role, right? Doesn't matter which role it was. You are not anymore the husband or the wife or the killer or the son. You are free from those roles. Yeah. So those of you who have very harmonic relationships in their marriage, for example, yeah, that they are very happy, they have a very good chance that they can continue on the other side. Otherwise, thanks God, it's not going to happen, right? Yeah. But there was a person, you know, and she asked me, she was an elder woman, she asked me, how can I make sure that I'm not going to meet my husband anymore, you know? Yeah. And I said to her, well, you have just to get a little bit higher, you know? Yeah. I say, yeah, okay, but what do I have to do, you know? Because I don't want to meet him anymore, you know? No way, you know? I was, you know, I really, everything, but not that, you know? I said, well, don't worry. Most probably he also doesn't want to meet you anymore, yeah? No, she said. He said to me he wants by any may be with me, but I don't want it. You understand? Please make sure, give me anything that I don't have to be with him anymore. No? So I say, well, the best thing is you die very, very peacefully. Yeah. Make sure that you are going not to think on him and to think, oh my God, I don't want to meet him, because this is almost a secure way that you're gonna meet him again. Yeah. So she said, okay, yeah, then I will really try everything, you know, yeah, because this is not gonna happen. Yeah. So, but for you as a spiritual people, yeah, that are looking for a path out of the ego self, it is important that you understand there is not this higher version of you. Yeah, it is like the drop falls into the ocean, so there is nothing from the drop left. Yeah, there is no drop consciousness left. Then, and also, where should that go? The ocean. You understand? Yeah, there is no place for you there. Yeah, or for any of us. Yeah. And this is the whole reason why we suffer so badly in this third dimension. Yeah. The identification with the body, the identification with our emotions, the identification with our thoughts. Yeah. And the most difficult identification to master or to get detached from is the physical one, right? So we start usually working on the mind, no? And this is why we use zikr, why we use mantra, right? And emotions is mainly for our emotional side. The prayers are for our emotional side, yeah. And our physical, because they are married with each other, yeah. The body and the emotions are very, very linked with each other. And the thoughts are living a little bit their own world up here, yeah. Yeah. Going from here to everywhere, no? Yeah. So, stars are dancing with us. We are dancing with the stars. Stars are dancing with us. Allah, Allahu, Allah, Allah, Allahu, Allah, Allah, hayya, hayyahu, hayya, hayyahu, hayya, hayyahu, hayya, hayyahu. Hayya, hayyahu, hayya, hayyahu, hayya, hayyahu, hayya, hayyahu. Allah, Allahu, Allah, Allahu, Allah, Allahu, Allah, Allah. Hey, 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 everything it turns all around. Everything it turns all around. All around one, always one. All around one, always one. Allah, 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 Allah. Hayya, hayyahu, hayya, hayyahu, hayya, hayyahu, hayya, hayyahu. So when the dervishes are whirling and they imitate this cosmic dance, that the self is actually dancing around us. Yeah. So you will find yourself in this movement, in this cosmic movement, that everything dances, everything turns, and this is why we have these movements, yeah, in us. And all the children, they find them in themselves. And you will see that every child on a certain point starts to turn, right? Wants to whirl. So dancing is connected with the music, and this is why it is physically the highest expression. Yeah. And the beginning of dance were circular dances, and also in our tradition we have circular dances. They are usually very simple, but sometimes simple is difficult, no? And so these two things you should never leave in your life. Yeah, music, which means that you actively sing, for example, yeah, and moving, yeah, dancing. Dancing is really one of the best things you can do. Yeah. For example, in Argentina, they developed the tango. Yeah, and this is a couple therapy, right? If you make tango, or if you have any idea of tango, then first of all, the man leads, yeah, which is a liberation, you know, because usually the woman leads now in modern relationships. Yeah. So the man has to learn to lead. Yes. And that heals him somehow, because he has to connect with himself somehow, that he can lead. Yeah. No. So he knows the next step. Yeah. He has to have a vision about the next step he has to do. Right. And if that step is true, the woman happily follows. if she feels the step is not true, so she gives him this kind of resistance, and this is a kind of wrestling that they have in the tango, right? So it's a very beautiful way to communicate and to bring ourselves in the right positions. No? And of course, you dance by yourself. Also, that brings you very much in a center with yourself. No, you can't dance if you don't have a center. No, and it's all about this center. The self is the center, but it is not yourself. It is not I. I have this self, yeah, or I am this self. No, yeah, there is a self, yeah, and that self put itself in us, and it is also out of us. It is everywhere. Yeah, it is the divine self. There's no other self. Yeah. Okay. So and when we sing, we can express the lower self, and we can give it a good exit. Yeah, all the emotions, when you're sad, yeah, you can sing your sadness out, and you don't have to come to your wife or to your husband and God knows what, yeah, and make a drama, yeah, and say, I'm sad because of you. Now you keep your sadness, yeah, and you just sing it out. You can sing all the sad romantic songs, yeah that you got left over and God knows what, yeah, and you just sing it out, right? And you will find one thing, you see, because this self that you want to find, that you want to know, yeah, is a construction, and because of that, you can create it new, yeah, because you need to have a kind of self to stay in this dimension. You cannot just go completely in the self, because then you will not be able to function in the world at all anymore. Yeah, and some people choose that, and they go in isolation, in somewhere on mountains where they eat grass or eat nothing anymore, and they are out of society. Okay, but for most of us, this is not an option. Yeah, so you have to find a self that is as fluid as water and as pure as light and as warm, yeah, as fire, and as stable as earth. Yeah, this is why we're on earth. Yeah, earth teaching us this. Yeah, nature is teaching this to us. Okay. And the self, this self that you are looking for, is represented in the sun. And this is why we follow the sun. Yeah, we follow the sun, and we're not praying to the sun in that sense that we worship the sun, but we recognize it as our guardian, yeah, as our instructor, as our teacher, as our master, no? And if we start to synchronize our life with the sun, we're starting to go into the rhythm of this divine symphony which is happening in the cosmos. Yeah, because everything turns, because there is a symphony, there is a rhythm, there's a conductor that makes everything precise rhythm. And we know through physics, we know through astrophysics that the path of the stars around each other, around the sun basically, yeah, is in such a high precision. Yeah, and when they were drawing the movements they do, because they are not only walking around the sun, they are literally dancing around it, and they make movements. And these movements, the NASA has put them in graphics, and you can see, for example, the graphic of Jupiter, is beautiful, or the graphic of Mars, or the graphic of the Earth. So they have beautiful, beautiful, beautiful patterns, yeah, because they are beautiful, beautiful beings. If they would make a pattern of our movements, yeah, daily, you would see a super kind, chaotic line. Yeah, it would look more like a knot, no? Yeah. So when you bring rhythm in your life and you just keep prayers or meditation practicings, you sit in a certain position, you walk in a certain way, you speak in a certain way, you do all the things with the aspect of awareness of this self. Yeah. Okay. And this is the self. You imagine it like a place from where you can be part of this divine symphony. Yeah. And this is all you want. This is all we are looking for. Yeah. Is to love this self and to praise it. Yeah. And the ego forgot that. Yeah. And so we are praising ourselves. No? But no one else wants to do that. That is the problem. Yeah. Yeah. So as a reaction to that, the ego tries to fight down everyone around. Yeah. Says you are a little warm compared to me, right? You are nothing. Yes. So one of the healings of our relationships is not to hammer the other down in the ground, yeah, but to really resist it and to do the opposite. To say, oh, my honorable man, my honorable husband, or my beautiful one, yeah, that you give titles, yeah, beautiful titles, as the divine himself gave himself beautiful names, yeah, and he does not want to be called by any other names than those names. And if we call these names, we come into those names. They work on us. Yeah, that's why they are called the beautiful names. Asmaul Husna. Yeah, isn't it interesting? They are called the beautiful names. Yeah, and it is a kind of in the old times, the couple, for example, would not even call the names of the other, but they would always add a kind of title. They would also not say, for example, in the languages, you to each other. In the old Turkish couples, still today, up today, they are not saying you to each other. They're saying, how you say that in English? The third person. Yeah. Okay. How you would address a foreigner. Hadratak. Thank you. Hadratak. Yeah. This is how you approach to the other. No, how you say the things. No. And of course, there is no screaming. Yeah, with whom you scream. You can scream to an animal, even that you shouldn't do. But you don't scream to the self, because everyone carries that self. Yeah. So you hurt yourself. You understand? When you scream, when you do all these things that you should not do, you hurt yourself. Yeah. It's not that you hurt the other, yeah, but you hurt yourself. No? And to hurt yourself is a very, very difficult thing to cure. No? That's why it's easier to forgive another person than your own self. Yes? Maybe you noticed that. Yeah. So, I hope this gives you some inspirations. Yeah. And like Monana used to say, don't believe me. Yeah, check it. check it yourself, yes. And then you may come to something similar or to the same, hopefully. And so home, coming home, is the self, yeah, that is coming home. Yeah. And being home is in the self. And this is why Master Eckhart, Master Eckhart Tolle, the modern Master Eckhart. We have actually two Master Eckharts alive. One is Michael. He's also Michael Eckhart, and he's got the spirit of the old Master Eckhart. That's why we call him Eckhart as well, in reference to this great master there. And he says, the only thing you can say about the self is I am. Yeah. Right? But the ego is so tricky. Yeah. So when we in the moment we say I, of course we mean the I that we are identified with. Right? Okay. Well, this was it from my side. And I wish you the very best wherever you are, day and night. And thank you very much for your patience and for your time. Yeah, time is one of the most precious things we can give to each other, right? Our lifetime. Yeah. So thank you very much for that. And I hope it will deepen your understanding about yourself. Yes. Good. So, thank you. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. And if you find the singing terrible, please tell Omar, then he will tell to me, Okay. So, thank you. Blessings to all of you. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.